The offset tool for Cricut Design Space has so many different uses and applications. Let's get into it. My name is Kelly and let's get clacking. In Cricut Design Space, the offset tool is not immediately available to be used because it only works when you have something selected. So, as an example, what we can do is we can add in an image to the canvas. So let's select this cutie as an example. And if we wanted to make this into a print then cut sticker, we can use the offset feature to be able to cut the white border around the edge of the sticker. So we need to have the word selected, and then we click on the offset tool at the top, and it will by default give you an external offset, which for most cases is what you want to use. You can manually put in a number if you want to. So instead of having a default number or a number that you get from the slide, so you can slide this up and make it much bigger or make it much smaller or even into an internal offset, but we'll get into that in a moment. So by default, it's set around 0.6 centimeters, and that works for what I want to show you for. The next section is the corners. You will only really be able to tell the difference that this feature makes if you are doing an offset on something that has square edges. So at the moment, you won't really be able to tell a difference. But if you look at this design, you'll be able to see just how much of a difference the square offset will make. And you can then choose for yourself whether you want rounded edges or whether you want the slightly more squared off edges. The next option is your weld offsets. What this means is that if you have more than one object on your screen that you are using an offset for, so maybe things that aren't connected to each other, like this as an example, you have 3 different things that you want to do an offset for. If you untick weld offsets, what it'll do is it'll create 3 separate offsets for those separate items. This works really well if you are wanting things in one go. Once we have changed the settings to what we want them to be, I'm going to click Apply. And by default, the color is normally black, or it's gray if your layer is black. And the operation of the offset layer will match whatever operation you have on the layer that you've just offset. So essentially what that means is if you have a basic cut layer and you use the offset feature, the offset layer will be basic cut. If you have a deboss layer and you use the offset layer will be deboss, and so on and so forth. So that is really useful when you're wanting to use multiple different offsets for multiple different things. You don't have to change the layer operation every time. Now, if we are making our sticker, we're going to change the background color to white as we don't want a black background. If you want the sticker to be exactly like it is currently, and you just want it to cut the outline, you need to select everything, right-click, and flatten. So you'll see it changes quite a bit, and you now only have 1 layer instead of 3. That is very important when it comes to using the print then cut function. One of my favorite uses of the offset feature is to use the internal offset to fill in some text. So if we have a word in text and we're going to change the operation to pen, as I want this to be drawn on a piece of paper, you'll notice that it only wants to draw the outline. Now you can use the offset feature and move the toggle to the other side of this little gray line here into a negative. And then the lines will be on the inside of the letters. Now the reason why you are not seeing a blue line on the inside is because the offset value is too high. So I'm going to change this offset value to 0.03. And I'm going to click somewhere on the offset layer to see what the offset will look like once I click Apply. Now I notice that looks very good, so I'm going to click Apply, and our letter just got a little bit thicker. Now what we can do for this is we can click the offset button again, And you'll notice that it remembers the last setting that we used. So if you want to do multiple offsets, and if you want to fill in the entire letter, you can just keep clicking offset and apply, offset and apply, until the entire letter is filled in to exactly what you want it to be. And now what we will have to do is click, drag, and select everything, right click, and now we attach. We don't flatten, because flatten was for print then cut. So what this will do is this will automatically draw, and it'll draw all of those lines on the inside. You can even make it a tiny bit smaller if you want it to overlap a little bit. And you'll also notice how each of those layers have maintained the pen function, like I mentioned earlier. The offset feature is currently only available in 64-bit operating systems, so that means that you need a little bit more computing power in order to use this feature. It has recently been released for use on iOS app. Unfortunately, it's not available yet on Android devices, which as a Samsung user makes me a little bit sad. I hope that they'll bring it out to us Android users very soon. If you have used the offset on an image similar to this one, so we have the image selected, we're going to click on offset and it will apply the offset to this image. However, you'll notice that there is an offset on the inside of this image. Now we may not want this, as we may only want to cut the outside. So let's make this a little bit bigger and click apply. Now this is not what we want our design to look like. I do not want that star on the inside. So when I have the offset layer selected, I'm going to click on contour. And now this opens a feature that is a little bit confusing, but all we need to do here is to select hide all contours, as we only want the top and largest layer being cut, and we can then just click out of this feature. So now this is exactly what I would want to cut, and I can then play around with the colors by changing it to white if I wanted that, maybe changing this layer to blue. And now we will have a solid sticker as opposed to a sticker with a hole on the inside. Now, if you want to learn how to use the contour feature, check out this video. It'll take you step by step on creating a layered design. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos in the future. And remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.